What's the quickest way someone lost your respect? XGF found someone's ATM card left in the machine. Promptly went on a shopping spree. I was so furious. People like her are the reason I have a panic attack when I can't find my wallet. Just a straight up scummy thing to do. When I was in school at around 14, two of my friends got into an argument and one of them yelled, "You're such a piece of shit, no wonder your sister killed herself." I know kids can be assholes, but they took it to another level. Friend stole a hat from me and I caught him trying to sell it at a flea market after he lied about knowing where it was. I found it with a price tag on it. I had a $200 Best Buy gift card stolen out of my wallet at work. Because I had the receipt for the gift card, Best Buy was able to tell me what the person purchased, a fancy radar detector, and as it turned out they paid the last $23 with their dad's credit card. It was one of my good friends. He never admitted to stealing it, said he found it in the parking lot, obviously a lie, and he knew I had lost mine. He's still friends of friends and my blood still boils when I think about it. This was nearly 20 years ago. My manager doing what I just told a customer we can't do because of policy. As in, I want to return this gift card, it doesn't work. We can't do that. We do not do returns on gift cards because we cannot verify the balance. If there is an issue with the gift card, you need to contact Visa and have them solve the issue. My computer system is even set up so that if you try to return it like you were supposed to, it'll tell you to fuck off. Customer asks for manager and manager just gives her the value of card plus the fee by returning it as a non-taxable item. The reason it's policy is because it's a scam and they want to double dip. They use the card and they want to see if they can get the cash they just spent back again. And of course the customer came back 2 more times and asked to return the card again and again. In total she got $615 because my manager is such a twat and so scared of getting negative reviews. My girlfriend's mom has MS and is now struggling with mobility. A recent Christian concert friend of my girlfriend's who has been a brilliant friend for 20 years said if she came to church and followed the Lord this wouldn't have happened to her. 20 years of friendship gone in a sentence. My RA freshman year of college, she had just lost a board game and threw a fit. At first I thought she was joking, but soon realized she was completely serious. A 20-year-old having a tantrum over Ticket to Ride. In front of her friends and residents. Thinking it made her seem scary rather than juvenile. Never could respect her after that. I called my sister out for having my elderly mother co-sign on a loan. It was obvious that mom had dementia and was unable to handle her finances. Her response, "She hasn't been diagnosed yet." Little bit of backstory. I once had a friend, whom I considered a good friend, randomly message my then girlfriend asking if we were still together. I thought he was just checking up on me, making sure it was a good relationship because when she said yes, he said good. Fast forward now, about 2 weeks after we break up, he messages her again, saying the same thing. Proceeds to try to console her and literally that night tries to flirt with her and sends her a dick pic. Does this many times for the next few months, her not reciprocating or showing any interest, not knowing that she and I were still very close and she was telling me everything. He also had a girlfriend at the time that he was trying to convince my ex that they broke up. I've lost all respect and I'll never give it back. A simple apology and talk could reconcile our friendship, but he'll never be respected by me ever again. I took my son to work with me, while I was on holiday, to pick up a paycheck. I met our shipper and introduced my son who has a slight speech impediment. My son said hello and stammered on the H. The shipper started to laugh at him. I took my son's hand and we walked away. Didn't speak to the shipper again. My boss charged a colleague for a table's bill because that table had left without paying and were seated in her section, thus being her responsibility. The bill was £75. We're paid $6.95 an hour. This was on Christmas Day. I moved down to Florida in the middle of my 11th grade year. After a few months of getting to know people, I found myself hanging out with a group of kids who on the weekends would go out bean hunting. These fucking kids would go driving around in Little Mexico with BB guns, airsoft guns, and they even told me stories about them physically beating harmless people just because they were Hispanic. I really couldn't believe that people would do this kind of shit to random people. Treating someone badly because everyone else was already doing it. Told me a story about how he helped his friend cheat on his girlfriend. Not a great way to impress a woman. Guys making fun of someone for not knowing something, how to do something. Once a couple of kids from a group were making fun of a man for asking questions about how to use the computer. Nobody is born with instant knowledge about everything. My friend told me he cheats on his GF for fun. A family member of mine recently found out she had been infected with Zika. She was 6 months pregnant. After trying to get pregnant for years with no luck, she had given up hope of ever having a baby, but by some miracle was able to conceive. When she told her mother-in-law the news, that horrible woman said to her, "I should have known this would happen when I first met you and saw the way you were dressed," implying that because she wore short shorts and wore tank tops, she wasn't a worthy mother. Poor girl was devastated and blamed herself for getting Zika even though no one knew it was in the area at that time. Still, she decided that she would carry the baby to term. He was born 2 weeks ago. No microcephaly. No health issues of any kind. Also, and this is the real kicker, he tested negative for exposure to the virus. New boss told me he wanted me overworked and underpaid. Yes, I totally want to work for you now. When can I pieces? Pieces, permanent change of station, is a military term, and that's the mentality of a lot of asshole superiors. They have complete control over work schedule and you get no extra pay for extra work. I have had 2 months straight no day off, 90-hour weeks before, and you don't get a dime of extra pay or extra days off to compensate. There used to be a homeless man that would sleep outside of the pizza place I used to work at. Never bothered anyone, never asked for food, though we did offer him some when we had leftover pies. Middle of winter, he stopped coming around. Couple weeks later, coworker tells me him and his friends dumped water on him while he was sleeping for shits and gigs, thinking I would think it was funny. Yeah, no. A baby was admitted to the hospital because it had cancer, amongst other things. Lady says it got what it deserves. Everything happens for a reason. Right, this person who was barely a few months old was such an evil person that God thought it deserved cancer. A buddy of mine in high school once told a girl I had a crush on that I had scabies. She stopped even associating with me after that. I then found out he did that so he could try and court her. For the record, no, I did not have scabies. I knew a guy my freshman year of college. He was an aspiring musician and was very depressed about his recent ex-girlfriend. He would frequently complain that women only like stupid muscular guys and how he never got laid because of that. I would go home almost every weekend and sometimes I would come back to hear about how he got drunk and got laid, but then would just complain a few days later about how he never got laid. Finally, toward the end of the second semester, a friend of mine had a girl up for the weekend. I was home, he and the girl hit it off and they ended up sleeping together a few times that night. The girl liked him and suggested that they maybe start talking and possibly go on a date. He tells her no and that this isn't going past right now. The girl becomes noticeably bummed out, so he asks my other friends if they can drive her home. Context: it's 2 a.m. My school was in NH and she lived in Maine. My friends said no initially, but he said they could drop her at a halfway point, so they agreed. They drop her off at a McDonald's at about 4 a.m. and head back. He tells my friends that her dad or friend will be there to get her soon. I come back on Monday and he tells me in private the whole story. When he gets to the part about the McDonald's, he admits that there was nobody coming for her and he lied to my other 2 friends in order to get rid of her. Worst part is that he's laughing as he says all this and expected me to laugh too. Couldn't be in the same room with him after that. A couple people I know have done this lately, made a GoFundMe for some trivial shit. I'm not going to give details on the specific fundraisers just in case, but take my word for it, it's the most poorly disguised, pathetic attempt to beg for money I've ever seen from someone who absolutely doesn't need it. When I was in 6th grade, there was a girl who we'll call Emma in my class who was a little odd. She was painfully shy and awkward, her clothes were too small for her, and she smelled kind of bad. A less known fact and possibly irrelevant other than to explain some of her strangeness was that she had been sexually abused for years by a family member. I was best friends with her cousin, who told me in confidence, because I was nice to Emma, my friend was not a gossip and was protective as fuck of her cousin. Emma usually ate lunch in the classroom and would opt to spend recesses in study hall, presumably either because she felt more comfortable away from people or to avoid being bullied, possibly both. One day we had recess in the gym, pretty common when it was freezing or raining out, and Emma is there. Some days study hall wasn't available because a teacher was sick or whatever, I don't know. She's sitting on the bleachers drawing and a couple of other kids are hanging around on the bleachers as well. One boy in particular, a popular kid well liked by students and teachers, is talking to her. I saw this and something about the way Emma looked made me stop playing dodgeball and walk over. As I approached, I hear the boy calling her trailer trash and asking if her trailer home had a shower. He was laughing and a couple others nearby were laughing too, some of whom I'd considered friends before. Lost all respect for every one of them. Emma wasn't crying or anything, just ignored them and kept drawing. Unfortunately, I let my emotions get the better of me. Punched him right in the face. Good for you. There was this boy in middle school 7th grade, that was just so awkward, shy, really mousy looking in the face. One day, I was walking behind him, going to next class, and dumbass jock Tyler and friends start messing with him and trip him, so books and papers everywhere. For some reason, I was just so fucking fed up with this bullshit, and the fact this kid couldn't stand up for himself. Normally I was a shy, quieter kid, wouldn't speak out loudly, but I surprised myself and just yelled out, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys? You just go around acting like fucking dickwads?" The look of shock from their faces I will never forget, and they just turned meekly and went to next class. I helped kid pick his stuff up, and I just remember being pissed and telling him to stop taking their shit and do something about it next time. Don't be afraid. My dad raised me and my brother and always told us that if someone is picking on us and being physical, we need to defend ourselves, because a bully won't ever stop until you do.